Hi everybody, Michelle McLuhan, astrologer and life navigator, and I'm bringing you an astrology update for the next new moon, which is the first new moon of the year, and it's happening on the 18th or 19th of January, depending on where you are in the world. In South Africa, it's in the evening of the 18th, so just have a look and see when it falls for you. Obviously, new moons are always a time to start new cycles. And obviously this one is the first new moon of the year, so it is tied in to the whole of 2026 because it's the seeding point really for 2026. So if we look at it, it's a very, very interesting new moon. I don't think I've ever seen one quite like this before. It's very intense because there's so much involved in this new moon. So normally when we have a new moon, we have the sun and the moon at a certain point in the sky and in a particular sign. And if you have your birth chart, then that's in that particular house. But this one's different because not only are the sun and the moon together at 28 degrees of Capricorn, but we also have Mercury and Mars right there next to them in Capricorn. And then we have Venus and Pluto a short distance away that have moved into the next sign of Aquarius. Now that in astrology is called a stellium. A stellium is a collection or a grouping of planets. So you could see it, astrology really is the study of energy. So you could see it as a very intense collection or intense focused energy at this new moon. So you might have a new moon where you have the sun and the moon in a certain sign, but then everything else in different signs. So in this new moon, we have all of the personal planets lumped together in one place. And all of those personal planets are touching the outer planets. So that for an astrologer says that this is a very potent moment in time, and it gives rise to a very potent year, the way I'm seeing it. What happens in an astrology chart is when something is connected to something else, it strengthens it. And then when you add a little bit more, it strengthens it more. When you add more, it strengthens it more. So the energy just becomes stronger and more intense, more potent. Okay, so that's basically what we're looking at as the big picture. Now when we break it down, we see that this really is part of the crossroads that we find ourselves in. I've been doing astrology for many, many years, for decades, and I've very rarely seen positions and alignments like we're seeing this year. It really is something quite unusual, and I think a lot of us are feeling that the old really is not working anymore and is dismantling, and the new is emerging, but we still don't know what that's going to look like. This is actually happening energetically, astrology-wise, and in every other way. We are at the end of cycles and we are beginning new cycles, and this new moon is definitely part of it. The new moon isn't the be-all and end-all of anything, because it's just a snapshot of the heavens when those two come together, but we look at the longer alignments to give us more of a picture of it. So if we look at this point, let's just call it a pivot point. Let's just call it the ushering in of the ending of an era. It's not just the ending of a month or a year. It's actually the ending of an era that we're coming to this year. In fact, early this year. Okay, and we're moving into uncharted territory. So if I break that down and I say, okay, we've got all these personal planets, 4 of them, there are only 5, 4 of them are all in Capricorn. What is Capricorn? Well, Capricorn is a sign that is ruled by the planet Saturn. Okay, so that's quite important to know. Whenever we have a new moon, it has a ruler, a sign ruler, and the sign has a planetary ruler. So the ruler of this new moon is Saturn. You look at Saturn and you see that Saturn is right at the end of a 29 to 30 year cycle, along with Neptune, which is at the end of a 165 year cycle. Now the last time these two were together was 36 years ago, which was 1989. So it's a bigger cycle than just even what we know of and what we're working with. So think back to 1989 and what was going on for you then. And then you look, and they were together basically in 1989 in the sign of Capricorn. So it brings that into the picture. So if you look at Capricorn and you look at Saturn, Capricorn is really about, this is now starting 36 years ago, building your authority, building systems, building structures. The energy is very much about taking responsibility, building the physical realm, the physical security, safety, supposed. It's often an illusion, but building that sense of I'm safe, I'm secure because I've got this around me physically. Capricorn's an earth sign. It's very involved with what you can actually see, what you can build tangibly. You know, it represents foundations and what is the building going to look like? And then it represents how you're going to achieve your goals. So let's just say you want to climb a mountain. That's a very good analogy for Capricorn because Capricorn is the mountain goat. So you want to climb a mountain, you're going to basically climb that mountain and keep going until you reach the top. There's a lot of endurance, a lot of tenacity and sort of strength in terms of actually climbing. However, it can also be quite merciless. So because it's so attached to getting to the goal and maintaining the structure, it can actually be very fear-driven. Saturn in the natal chart will tell us where our fears are. And the alignment with all this Capricorn energy, especially with Saturn ending its cycle, could bring those fears to the surface. Fears of instability in terms of your physical realm. Sort of fears about lack of health. It's the body. It's this, I am my body. It's that kind of principle. The roles that we play are attached to that. I am whatever it is that comes after that, mother, sister, business person, whatever it is. Those are all roles. They're traditional roles. It's the old way of doing things. That's what the sign of Capricorn represents. It's that sort of heavy, responsible, but necessary energy in terms of our physical lives. However, there's also quite a lot of control associated with that. So if we look in the world, it's very much about the government, the hierarchy, telling you what you need to do, parents, conditioning. You need to do this in order to be successful. You need to get a degree and then you need to plan your life and you need to have all your little ducks in a row and then you will feel successful, which many of us know isn't true. And many of us also know that some of the goals that we've had have never come to fruition, and the things that we haven't seen coming have actually been the real challenges and growth opportunities in our lives. So we're actually not in control of the universe, although we like to think that we are. Now, what's happening is these planets that have actually been in very heavy earth signs and water signs are now moving into fire and air signs. I've discussed that before. I think I mentioned in my last video. Lots of astrologers are talking about it. They're moving into masculine signs, okay? Shortly after this new moon, all those personal planets, the sun, the moon, Mercury and Mars, all move into Aquarius. So very shortly, like by the 23rd of January, they've all moved on into Aquarius, and they all then come into an alignment with Pluto, who's been in Aquarius on and off since 2023. We're getting used to the energy of Pluto and Aquarius. And so they're all coming into an alignment with that. And that's starting to bring in this new cycle. And if you look at the energy of Aquarius, it's very, very different to Capricorn. It's completely different. Next door neighbors on the zodiacal wheel, have very little, if nothing, in common. So for example, Capricorn is earth, and it's cardinal earth, which is leadership, power, top-down management. Aquarius is fixed air. It's much more about the collective. It's much more innovative. Aquarius is the sign of liberation. It's the sign that rules anything out the box that's not traditional, that is unusual. It's an electrified kind of sign, and it is based on frequency. It represents the new, where Capricorn would represent the old. It represents sort of coming up with inventive, innovative, community or collaborative solutions to old problems. So where Capricorn might make the rules and maintain the structure, Aquarius comes in and says, I think the rules have to change, because these rules are now old and heavy and they don't work in this new frequency that we're moving into. We're moving into a new frequency. And you might be feeling that, where old things that you used to do, old ways of doing things, might not be working for you. If you've had a chronic ache or pain or illness, you might be getting to the point, especially at the end of these cycles, where you realize that you have to do something different. If you've been pushing yourself sort of through your limits, which many of us do because we're conditioned to believe that we have to do that. We have to strive, we have to push, we have to struggle. If you've been doing that, your body might not be feeling so good. It might be showing up as symptoms, and it's giving you a message. So if your body is in any way showing you anything, just notice and see what you could bring into your life and what you could release from your life. The same goes for fears, the same goes for any resentments or grudges that you might be holding, because we can get stuck in those patterns. And these ends of cycles are saying, okay, where are we stuck in old cycles and what do we need to release? Because I feel that we're moving into a new frequency that doesn't allow us to carry the old. So it's not a fear-based frequency. It's actually a frequency of stepping into uncharted energy and creating our own frequency, of connecting with our own frequency and enlarging and expanding that frequency. It's not me-driven, it's us-driven. Aquarius is the sign of the collective. How can I serve this community, this family, my colleagues, or whoever you happen to be sharing your life with? How can I let go of anything that is keeping me stuck or limited or squished or repressed? What can I let go of? What is not serving me as we move into, let's call it, the new earth, and as we release the old world? And that's what's happening. So the control structures, in many respects, globally, are desperately trying to hold on to control. On the other side of it, we've got many people, millions and millions of people waking up to the fact that we are sovereign beings, and that we, by the essence of who we are, is we are free and liberated. And it's a return to that. Pluto in Aquarius is the returning of power to the people and the realizing that we actually are liberated and that we do not have to be stuck in the old systems, whatever that's going to look like. So it's a change in frequency. It's asking us to be more authentic, more true to who we really are, to what our unique gifts are, to share with the collective. How can we serve the collective as opposed to just thinking about me, I, am I safe, am I secure, and that's all that matters? How can we see our role as being much more than the physical? It's not just about the house, it's not just about the home, it's not just about the career or how much money we've got saved up. We are much more than that. And that's what this next 20 years is going to show us with Pluto moving through Aquarius. I feel that we are now fully moving into the age of Aquarius. It's been talked about for many years. But in the biggest sort of cycles, 50 years is nothing. It's a blink of an eye. But we've been talking about this age of Aquarius, and it feels like this is really starting to bring us in properly. New alliances, new ideas, new solutions to old problems. If we try to process the old problems the way we've always processed them, we might find that it's not working. Those old remedies that we've used aren't working anymore. The old work ethic that we've had doesn't work anymore. It doesn't calculate. We've got to recalibrate. And so this is a time of recalibrating and really stepping into our own frequency. It's a breakthrough energy. Not just the new moon, this whole time that we're experiencing. Because we're going to have the new moon, which is going to be followed by these planets moving into Aquarius, which are all going to connect with Pluto, which is powerful, very powerful transformation. Pluto is the planet of transformation. All the personal planets are going to be connecting with Pluto. Okay, so that's in itself huge. And then in addition to that, On the 26th of January, I think it is, Neptune finishes its 165-year cycle and moves into Aries, which is the sign of the innocent, the new, the beginning point. It's at 0 degrees of Aries, which is the beginning point of the zodiac. In tarot, it would be the Fool. And the Fool is known in the tarot to not take anything from the past into the future, to just be brave enough to face the future with his boldness and his courage and his humor as well. That's zero of the tarot is the Fool. The Fool was always quite highly regarded actually in the courts. He was the one that could get away with murder, just about. So the Fool is a very good archetype to represent this energy. So Neptune will be moving into Aries, and then followed by Saturn moving into Aries. And on the 26th of February, the two of them come together at 0 degrees, and then they continue to move through the sign of Aries. So you can see that's another new cycle. In April, Uranus, which is the planet of change, is moving into Gemini, which is also an air sign, and it's got to do with communication. The way we communicate, the way we learn, the way we receive information, give information is all changing. Schooling, education, it's all changing. Now we can resist it, and we can say we don't want it, or we can say, how do we work with it? So how can we work with things like AI? How can we work with new technologies to maybe bring about healing that we've never even imagined? Energetic healing, because we're moving into the stage and the bigger cycles of energy. It's not physical anymore only. We're realizing that we are much, much, much more than this physical role that we have, than this body. We are not the body. We have a body. We have a mind, but we're not it. So all these things are really, really important, and this new moon seems to be really focusing on it. It's in a very supportive, all those planets are in a very supportive aspect. The aspects are those lines in between the chart, and they are where these planets or this planet talks to another planet, and they're in a very supportive connection to Uranus. Now, Uranus is the planet that rules Aquarius. So again, there's another Aquarian kind of energy, which says that that is actually helping us to make breakthroughs, to see the bigger picture, to let go. Aquarius will say, what do you need to let go of? Uranus will say, what do you need to change? It's the planet of change, which is supporting us. It's not fighting us. And then that stellium, that group of planets, is also in another supportive aspect. It's called a sextile to Neptune and Saturn. So this is again helping us to let go of what we don't need to carry and to see more clearly. So it's a real shift in direction. We're awakening. It's a reframing of old mental frameworks, realigning our neurology, finding a new way of working so that we're not burning out. We're not overburdening our electrical systems and our physical systems and our emotional systems. So if you're feeling a little bit depleted or a little bit exhausted, it's okay. It's the end of a cycle. It's quite natural, actually, at the end of a cycle to feel quite tired. It's okay if you can rest a little bit more than normal. I just feel that this is one of the most important years that we've experienced in our generation. We have 3 retreats coming up in the early year, so we can actually all align with this new energy. We have our Hogsback retreat from the 20th to the 24th of March, which falls over the autumn equinox in South Africa. And it's a very, very powerful point. That is the 0 point. 0 degrees. The autumn equinox is where the sun moves into Aries, which is the 0 point. So again, we're going to be working with the 0 point. We're going to be working with complete reset, reboot, release the old, bring in the new. That's the focus of that retreat. And if you can join us, we don't have many spaces because it's an intimate retreat, but please would you have a look at the details below and give us a buzz if you'd like to join us. You can send us an email, that's the easiest way. So that's coming up, that's very exciting. We also have an Awakened Man retreat that's going to be run by John Homewood. And the first one of those is going to be on the 27th of Feb to the 1st of March. And then he's running another one in May, and that'll be happening here in the Garden Route where we live. And I think that's a really vital one to do, because with the energies moving into the fire signs and the air signs, it's calling on our men to awaken and to step into their sovereignty and to let go and become who they really, really are. So that's going to be a very potent retreat for men. And then we have the third retreat at the Buddhist Retreat Center, which we run one every year, John and I together, and that's called the Alchemy of Presence, and that's from the 15th to the 19th of May. It's in 2 parts, but it's best to actually, I would say most definitely to try and attend both, because it's a continuation. The second part is a continuation of the first, and very similar themes, where we're actually really bedding ourselves into that presence state, which is actually going to be the 0 point, which is going to carry us into the new. So join us for those. What else do I have to tell you here? Yeah, I think that's about it. I drew a card, and an unusual one came, sort of fell out the pack. I used the horse pack again, the Oracle of the Sacred Horse, because I love that pack. And so I'll read that to you. If you're enjoying this, please would you subscribe and hit the notification button if you haven't done that, so that you can actually be notified. And if it resonates with you, share it. It'll help get the message out there. It's not that easy to get messages out with so much going on online. So I'd really appreciate that. And give me a comment. Let me know how you're feeling into this energy and how you see the new, and how we can work together to make this a positive move rather than be fearful of the unknown. I think this is really about embracing the unknown and stepping into it, knowing that we are more powerful than we might have thought before. The card that I drew is Enbar, the White Mare, and it's travel to Tinanog. Now, I'm not sure how to say that. It's an old Irish saying. And the words underneath the card are eternal youth, illusion, and mortality. So I'm going to read you a little bit about it, because it's a really beautiful story. So it's going to take us into a little bit longer than normal, but it's beautiful. I think you need to realize, sort of understand the story. There's an old Irish myth about Tir na Nog, a mystical island of great beauty and supernatural powers. This land of eternal youth could only be reached by way of magic. Travel to the island would often occur through the mist, underwater, or over the sea, for several days by boat or spirit horse. Home to rich forests, sparkling clean water, and flower-filled meadows, all who lived there experienced everlasting youth, health, abundance, and joy. The new earth. Okay? The king had a golden-haired daughter, the beautiful Neve. One day, Neve left the island, crossing the ocean and riding Enbar, her mare, throughout Ireland in search of a warrior named Oisin. While out hunting, Oisin saw a woman with long flowing red hair approaching on a white mare who seemed to float with grace across the uneven lands. It's all very, very symbolic, isn't it? Neve and Oisin instantly fell in love. Enbar carried them back to Tir Nog, where they built a life of joy, never aging or feeling the passage of time. Eventually, Oisin longed to return to his home in Ireland. Neve granted his wish under the condition that he would never step onto the soil of the mainland. He promised he would not. Oisin took the white horse and returned to his homeland to find that much had changed. He could not find his family, and obsessed with his search, crossed miles and miles of land. With Oisin's singular focus, Enbar weakened from lack of care and looked like an old workhorse. Defeated, Oisin eventually steered the horse towards the sea to return to the island. Before reaching the sea, the tired mare stumbled. Not wanting to touch the ground, as Neve had instructed, Oisin reached to pick up a stone as a reminder of his homelands. As he did so, he fell from his horse. When his foot hit the ground, he aged 300 years, the time he had spent with Neve on Tir na Nog. At that moment, Ember became her robust and beautiful self once more, reared up and galloped to return home. Oisin, meanwhile, fell into a deep eternal slumber. Legend has it that even now on misty nights when the moon is full, lighthouse keepers and fishermen spot a glorious white horse dancing in the waves along the shores of Ireland. The rider is always a fair maiden with long flowing red hair searching for love. So when we draw this card, it's a reminder of Ember's ability to transport you to a realm where conflict, war, and limitations cannot prevail. The Saturnian. The spiritual white mare will carry you through the underground, mist, or waterways to the land of utopia, so you may experience love and youthfulness. You may begin your journey with Ember by writing a question on paper and placing it next to your bed at night, and asking for your dreams to awaken a vision or offer insights into your challenge. Each time you journey into the mystical, you gather more profound knowledge of how to traverse the thin veil between the physical and the spiritual. Ember invites you to begin or deepen your meditation practice. Expand your heart with frequency, of pure love and joy to rejuvenate every cell of your body. That is Aquarius. That is the new earth. Allow your body to relive the wonder of youth. Imagine a natural setting that will feed your soul and feel the abundance possible when you connect with all that is. Feel it in your body. Ember also shares Oisin's tale because she wants you to understand the dangers of trying to return to what might have been. What was, was. The past is now memory, much of which is altered as your mind replays events. Who you are today is not the same person that you were. The root of who you are will remain the same, but you have grown. It's a cycle, it's a spiral upwards. Your spirit is like a tree. As it grows, it morphs in size and shape according to what it is fed. Ember sees your pain and suffering. She understands your desire to be in light, joy, and love. You're here to learn the vastness of emotional experience and how to rise above limitations to create your ideal expression of life. You're mastering your journey in consciousness. In returning to a previous reality, you enter a field of consciousness of limitations and beliefs that you may no longer be aligned with. If you're not careful, you might fall off your horse. Of the many lessons of Ember, the most important is that life, as we think it is an illusion. On a fundamental level, this card may be here to warn you not to fall into the promise of gold and sparkles, as things are not always as they appear. As a spirit, you do have eternal youth. As a human, each choice can bring unexpected gifts and or challenges, pull you into old ways, or progress you on your path to light. Know that your spirit will live on and on. While on earth, call on Ember to ride between worlds and view it all as a grand illusion. Do you feel pulled towards your past? When does this happen? What consequences might yearning for the past have for you? What are we holding on to? What do we need to release? In what ways are you aware of the illusion of life? If you were to travel between worlds, what guidance would you seek? And what place or activities make you feel youthful? So I think that's a really beautiful, potent card. I've never seen the card before. It's the first time I've ever had it or drawn it. So I think it's very apt, I think it's very apt in accordance to what's going on for us now. So be gentle. I think the focus is on kindness and gentleness and compassion. Everybody's doing the best that they can. Remembering that, not to get too attached to the stories in your mind that you might have about somebody or some place. And just release, release, release. Clear, clear, clear. That's my way that I'm going to be processing this and moving through it. And I invite you to join me. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to see how this is all playing out in your chart. By the way, the new moon is going to be playing out at the end of Capricorn and beginning of Aquarius. So if you know your chart, you can look to see where those degrees are and what houses they fall in. And then you can see what that actually represents. And the other very important part is Pisces, end of Pisces and beginning of Aries. That's another area where there's a new start. So lots going on there, but obviously that's determined by your actual birth chart, where we can actually see where those play out. So you can contact me via my website below. Thank you so much for listening and for your support, and lots of love to you.